Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77
The news, it is the News Hour with Noam Laden. Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 23rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Snow showers this morning, a mix of snow and rain this afternoon, high 38. So we'll get like about an inch maybe of snow here in the city and the surrounding suburbs. If you're in northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, maybe you'll see a couple inches, but otherwise it's going to be a slushy mix during the course of the day. Tonight and overnight cloudy, low 36, and then Wednesday sunshine, high 44. If you are walking out the door with us right now, it is 33 and cloudy in Pomona up in Rockland County. It's 35 and cloudy in Long Branch over in New Jersey, and it's 33 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Nurses across New York ready to hit the picket line. The ADL hits Mayor-elect Mamdani hard. Cops looking for a real-life Grinch on Long Island. City Hall unveils a very helpful website today. And wait, was that really a giant ornament smashing into cars in Stanford? All right, let's get into it at 5:01. The New York State Nurses Association yesterday announcing that 97% of nurses at 12 private sector hospitals across New York City, 5 of them in Brooklyn, have voted to authorize a strike. And they say they could walk off the job very soon. They want a contract extension because their contract expires at the end of the year. This vote gives their bargaining committees the authority to call a strike if the contract's not settled by December 31, if there's not some sort of extension. It's money issue. It's a health care issue. They don't like their health care plan. Let's hear from some of the nurses.
Our bosses are trying to reverse our games for patient care, but we're tired of their games and we're tired of their greed.
Darla Joyner is a registered nurse at Mount Sinai who heads the local bargaining committee, says nurses can't do their jobs if they're not protected, demanding protection of health care for patients with health care costs set to rise. They want better staffing amid shortages. Some hospitals have closed, which have meant more patients in other hospitals. And they want AI, artificial intelligence safeguards.
We're putting our lives on the line, and you don't want us to have the same health insurance that we had before. And how are we supposed to be healthy and providing care for patients?
Now, the union wants safety enhancements like metal detectors, particularly after this 20-year-old man, you might remember this story back in November, entered Mount Sinai Hospital, menaced people with a gun. They eventually caught up with this guy before he could do any damage inside of the hospital. But that was enough for these nurses to say, hey, you got to do a better job of protecting us.
A safe working environment's been a big concern, and this has fallen on deaf ears, even with the near active shooter incident, too.
Yes, so a lot of it is your typical stuff that unionized nurses will ask for. They want better benefits, better pay, fair wages, and a health plan that works for all. Now, the hospitals have responded, and they say they're willing to go to the bargaining table with this nurses union to try to work out a deal before December 31. Governor Hochul fuming after President Trump halted 5 offshore wind projects yesterday, including a big one out on Long Island. She says this puts thousands out of work.
Their holiday ruined because they're now going to be losing their jobs. I just want the Trump administration to know the widespread effect this is going to have on our economy.
But the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, says the lease is being paused due to national security concerns. He also mentioned the way offshore wind turbines can cause radars to malfunction. And he said that's a problem with planes that are landing. But here was the governor yesterday upset about all this.
Just another attack on a place like New York that is working so hard to have an all-the-above approach so I can keep the lights on. And we're counting on 500,000 homes being powered by clean, renewable energy.
Yeah, the governor said the $5 billion Empire Wind project was projected to power about 500,000 homes through clean, renewable energy here in New York. 5:04. It is one of the last work weeks of the year. Well, I guess it's the second to last, right? And there's only a few days left for New Yorkers to use Metro cards. It's amazing that people still are really attached to this thing. It's an end of an era. You remember it was the Metro card that replaced the token, which was a big deal at the time. Now the Metro card's going to go away because you can just tap your phone. That's the easiest way. Or you can get one of those Omni cards. New Yorkers weighing in on the fact that after December 31st, those Metro cards, you won't be able to use them anymore.
I am very upset about the Metro card going away. I've been here since the beginning of the Metro card and now till the end of the Metro card.
Well, I'm really not that nostalgic for the Metro card. I remember the tokens, years ago. New York is all about change, and hopefully the changes are for the better.
Omni will become the only way to pay since MTA stopped selling Metro cards, even removing Metro card machines from many subway stations over the last couple months, replacing them with these machines for Omni cards. An Omni card can be a physical card, but riders, of course, can still use credit cards or smart devices to tap and pay for their subway ride. Formal charges laid out yesterday for a food cart vendor who's accused of lighting a man on fire in Times Square earlier this year.
Ahmad Mossad was indicted on attempted murder and assault Monday, the Manhattan DA's office says. They say the 23-year-old had an exchange with a club promoter early on March 16th, then filled a water bottle with gas from his cart and waited for the victim to return. When he did, they say he lit the man on fire. The victim was put into a coma with burns over a fifth of his body. Cops say Mossad fled to Egypt and was arrested when he returned November 25th. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
The lines at lottery outlets across the city, they were pretty long over the last 24 hours. Everybody hoping that they would get this huge Christmas present of a Powerball jackpot that's well over $1 billion. But again, it's going to roll over now a third time. Well, actually, it's more than 3 times, but the third time since it hit $1 billion because there was no grand prize winner last night.
That puts it at a staggering $1.7 billion with the next drawing on Christmas Eve. There were a number of $1 million winners on Monday, with those tickets sold in Florida, Georgia, Illinois, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 5:08. Members of Congress, groups representing Jeffrey Epstein victims, accusing the Justice Department of violating the law by only partially releasing files related to the convicted sex offender.
The DOJ responding to the criticism by posting a lengthy fact sheet describing a, quote, arduous process and arguing the redactions and slow release are all part of their effort to protect the victims.
Correspondent Ryan Noble's there. So reports that thousands of files were released by Friday's deadline that was imposed by Congress, but the Justice Department said it would not release all of the documents. Republican Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey says he and California Democrat Ro Khanna considering inherent contempt charges against Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the release.
Sky Roberts' sister, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, was among the first survivors of Jeffrey Epstein to come forward and tell her story.
I think we still have a big fight ahead of us.
Giuffre took her own life in April. Her brother telling Hallie Jackson survivors are expecting a lot more from the DOJ. Members of Congress Force and survivor groups raising concerns over the uneven disclosure, with thousands of documents still not released, pages and pages of redactions, and photos and documents posted and then taken down.
Yeah, but people continue to be just fascinated with that story. 509, the U.S. Coast Guard continuing to go after an oil tanker linked to Venezuela. Correspondent Nick Harper has more.
The U.S. Coast Guard had a seizure warrant for the Bella One, but the tanker refused to submit, instead turning around and fleeing, leading to, the U.S. said, an active pursuit.
Now, if they were able to catch up, it would be the second such operation. Pentagon officials confirming military forces took control of a tanker carrying sanctioned oil in the Caribbean. That was on Saturday. Tensions continue to escalate in the region, with the White House conducting strikes on alleged drug boats linked to Venezuela.
The U.S. accuses Venezuela of using tankers like Bella One to evade sanctions, transporting oil illegally, and using all of that as a financial revenue stream to maintain President Nicolas Maduro's hold on power in Venezuela.
From Venezuela, let's head over to Australia, where investigators now say the father and son, accused of shooting up that Hanukkah celebration on Bondi Beach, tossed several bombs into the crowd right before opening fire.
Now, the authorities also released photos of the devices described as 3 pipe bombs and 1 tennis ball bomb that failed to detonate.
Correspondent Claudio Lavanga reports the allegations are all contained in these court documents that were just released late yesterday. Police say they found videos on the younger suspect's phone that appeared to show the 2 accused gunmen training ahead of that attack and then making statements while posing in front of an ISIS flag.
Australian police also said they found videos on the younger suspect's phone that appears to show the 2 suspects training ahead of the attack, in which they are shown firing shotguns in a green field and moving in a tactical manner. The authorities are also trying to establish whether their travel in November to the Philippines, which is seen as a hotspot for extremism, could be linked to the attack.
Yeah, so embattled Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, he was apologizing yesterday to the Jewish communities hours after he was loudly booed at a vigil for the 15 killed in the Bondi Beach terror attack. The Jewish community saying he has not done enough to protect them in Australia.
As Prime Minister, I feel the weight of responsibility, and I'm sorry for what the Jewish community and our nation as a whole has experienced. The government will work every day to protect Jewish Australians, to protect the fundamental right as Australians that they have to be proud of who they are.
Albanese has faced widespread backlash in the wake of last week's bloodshed after critics accuse his government of failing to curb a surge in anti-Semitism since the war in Gaza broke out in 2003. 512, President Trump announcing new Trump-class battleships for the U.S.
They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world.
The president says these will be the most lethal battleships the world has ever seen. He says there will be 2 ships built first, followed by another 8, and eventually 25 new battleships.
We want respect. We're going to have it. We already have it. We're more respected now than we ever were. A year and a half ago, they laughed at us. Now they respect us again at levels that they've never respected us. We envision that these 2 ships, we're talking about 10, but we're going to start with 2, and we're going to quickly morph into 10. And ultimately, we think it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 25.
No firm deadline on when those first ships will be built. 513, CBS News editor-in-chief Barry Weiss defending her decision to abruptly pull a 60 Minutes piece on El Salvador's maximum security prison.
The segment was teased as an inside look at the brutal and torturous conditions within the mega prison, where the Trump administration has sent hundreds of deported migrants since the president started his second term. According to the New York Post, Weiss stood on her decision, telling the outlet she held the story because it wasn't ready. However, the Wall Street Journal reports that the correspondent behind the story alleged in an email to colleagues that the decision was political and not a journalistic judgment. I'm Mark Mayfield.
5:14, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Antonio Brown appearing via Zoom in a Miami courtroom yesterday in his attempted murder trial as a defense attorney, Mark Arglash, has filed a motion to dismiss the case which involved Brown discharging a firearm outside a boxing match. This was in May. The victim claims a bullet grazed his neck.
I have had the benefit of looking through all the discovery, which the original prosecutor told me was primarily videos, so I've been able to look through those videos and study them, and that was why I filed my motion to dismiss based on Stand Your Ground.
Now, the judge will hear the motion to dismiss. Now, that won't be till April, and she advised she would like to try the case before the end of 2026.
And that's the only motion I see right now. Motion to dismiss based on statutory immunity. So Stand Your Ground motion, but I see nothing in terms of discovery.
I'm here, Your Honor.
I'll remind Mr. Brown that the stay-away order remains in full force and effect. You to continue to abide by that. That was entered November 12th.
This is a pretty serious charge. Brown could face up to 30 years behind bars if he's found guilty. 5:15, it's sports time. Here's Gabriel Jake with the latest.
The 49ers spoiled the Phillip Rivers homecoming party, handing the Colts and their recently unretired quarterback a tough 48-27 loss on last night's edition of Monday Night Football. The loss all but takes them out of playoff contention. It was a quiet night in New York sports as none of the NHL or NBA teams took the floor on Monday. The Knicks, Nets, Devils, Islanders, and Rangers all in action tonight, though. Some big news out of the NFL as the Kansas City Chiefs announced on Monday that they will be building a new domed stadium. It's only going to be a 30 or so minute drive from Arrowhead when it opens in 2031, but it will be located across state borders in Wyandotte County, Kansas. It's a big college hoops night in Newark. The 11-1 Seton Hall Pirates play host to Villanova at The Rock. A win against the Wildcats and Shaheen Holloway's Pirates could be looking at a spot in the nation's top 25. Seton Hall, a 2.5-point favorite in this matchup. Giants fans, just in case you still haven't had enough bad football to watch this year, this weekend's matchup against the Raiders has big implications, just not until late April. The NFL's two worst teams, both sitting at 2-13 on the year, will battle it out this Sunday, the loser likely picking first in next year's draft.
Now, do they purposely try to lose those games? I don't think a professional player ever does that. That's Gabriel Jake. Coming up on 517, traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
Give my Seton Hall Pirates a little love in that sportscast. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, it looks like they'll be a top 20 team, right?
Yeah, if they beat Villanova, they will be. Yep.
And Villanova's not as good this year as they have been in years past.
No, but still, they'll move up. If they win tonight, they're going to move up. So.
WABC News Time 518. You heard Gabriel Jake talk about Kansas City moving out. Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas says the Chiefs' decision to move to Kansas will be a tough adjustment for his city. He spoke just minutes after the Chiefs joined Kansas City Governor Laura Kelly for that celebratory announcement.
Business decisions are reality, and we all understand that. But Arrowhead Stadium is more. It's family, it's tradition, and it's a part of Kansas City that we will never leave.
Yeah, but they're packing up. The Chiefs have been in Kansas City, Missouri since 1963, at their current stadium since 1972. Leadership in Missouri tried to make a last-minute pitch to the team to renovate the current stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, into a dome, but apparently that was not successful.
This will be a tough adjustment. I wanted my two young sons and your children and your grandchildren to get to experience that same Arrowhead experience.
Okay, so the scoop is, because, if you're like me, you don't really know Kansas City, Kansas, that's not in Missouri. It's very confusing. But the cost of the new stadium in Kansas will be $3 billion, and it's only about a half-hour drive from Arrowhead Stadium. So it's not like they're leaving town hours away. It's a half hour away. 519, while we're talking sports stadiums, women's sports have become big. So that the Denver City Council says they're going to pump about $70 million into a project to build a stadium for the new National Women's Soccer League team that's opening up there.
I'm not going to look them in the mirror tomorrow and say, I voted no on this. I'm not. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who was involved. I will be an absolutely ecstatic yes.
They think this is a big milestone for women and girls sports, especially women's soccer. Other members yesterday who voted in favor of this measure in Denver say the economic benefit of a stadium, including the possibility of more sales tax, is why they gave it the green light. Some say that the decline of illegal immigration at the southern border is only just part of the story. It comes as the feds report they're also catching more drugs that have been coming in from Mexico.
Smuggling in semi-loads, commingled loads with legitimate cargo. That's fruits and vegetables, car parts.
And that's the West Texas Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, who says that during the Biden administration, resources were pulled away from the ports. Now he says they're back at work scanning the stream of trucks coming in from Mexico. And yeah, they're catching people who are trying to bring drugs into the U.S.
Going back to Ronald Reagan, we've had the war on drugs, but never have we seen somebody really take it up like we're seeing now.
Yes, the new numbers show that at 8 South Texas ports of entry, drug busts were up 62% just in the last year. And while we're talking immigration, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol say fewer people are trying to cross the country near San Diego.
The San Diego sector says through the first 2 months of the new fiscal year, they've recorded nearly 1,800 apprehensions. That figure represents a 93% decrease during the same period from 1 year ago. U.S. Customs say this low level of activity has not been seen near the San Diego border since the 1960s. Border officials say the increase is a combination of factors: tougher immigration and border security policies and stepped up deportation efforts nationally. I'm Phil Farrar.
521. Let's go out to California. A Bay Area mayor near San Francisco facing calls to resign after sharing social media posts that some groups deem anti-Semitic. The Bay Area-based Jewish Community Relations Council calling for the resignation of Richmond Mayor Eduardo Martinez, accusing him of engaging in a pattern of anti-Semitic conduct. His latest post, this was on LinkedIn. He appeared to blame the Jews for that December 14th mass shooting at a Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach. The organization described the rhetoric as dangerous, offensive, and unacceptable from any public official.
He is an anti-Semite, and he's unfit to hold office.
Jewish Community Relations Council says it viewed the LinkedIn post as part of a broader pattern. In its statement, the group pointed to Martinez's appearance over the summer at what's called the Second Annual People's Conference for Palestine, where he allegedly compared himself to Hamas.
The mayor's comments are unacceptable, are full of hate, and that he needs to take action now.
Now, he is apologizing for those comments he made on LinkedIn, but that may not be enough.
Rhetoric can lead to violence, and we need to do everything we can to condemn it.
The mayor, Martinez, says he wanted to apologize for sharing any previous posts without thinking. You think a mayor would know better. Paramount presenting a new offer in its hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. Correspondent Mitch McCann reports it comes after Warner Brothers Discovery's board rejected an earlier bid.
It expressed disappointment that billionaire Larry Ellison wasn't more involved in Paramount's bid. Larry is the father of Paramount boss David Ellison. On Monday, however, the company revealed the older Ellison, whose net worth is reportedly more than $240 billion, will personally guarantee $40 billion of Paramount's bid.
The Ellisons will let shareholders peer into the finances of their family trust after claims from Warner Brothers' board of directors that Paramount had misrepresented itself to shareholders.
It's the latest attempt to bring WBD back to the negotiating table after asking its shareholders to reject Paramount's hostile bid. The Netflix offer is valued at around $83 billion, but Paramount says its offer, which would include Warner Brothers Discovery's TV networks, has an enterprise value of $108 billion.
Yeah, so Paramount's new proposal also offers a $5.8 billion fee instead of the initial $5 billion promised to shareholders. If the deal were to fall through, there would have to sort of start all over again. But this hostile bid has been going back and forth. What are we talking? A couple months now. 524. Business owners across the country continue to talk about the fact that they're being targeted by this new extortion scam that involves fake one-star Google reviews designed to damage damage their online reputations. We've heard from some businesses here in New York where these people go on and write these terrible reviews about them and then say they'll scrub those reviews if they hand over cash. And in some cases, they said it was worth it. They did hand over cash. This is happening to businesses all over the country. Here's one business owner in Colorado Springs who's been targeted by this extortion scam.
Called my dispatcher, said, hey, I don't recognize these names. Have we done any work there? She said, no, we've never been to work on any of these people's houses. They're not in our system.
Yeah, so for a lot of times, it's these companies that have stellar numbers on Google review, 5 stars, great reviews, and then all of a sudden they start getting tons of 1-star reviews, and then they get a phone call or an email or a text say, hey, hand over cash and we'll stop putting up bad reviews.
You just get one, it'll dramatically drop your ranking from a 5-star to possibly like a 3-star, 4-star, and you no longer show up on the front page of Google. So it is detrimental to a business to get a 1-star review, especially if Google doesn't take it down.
Of course, these scammers will ask anywhere from $200, that seems cheap, to $1,000, sometimes promising to replace the bad reviews with hundreds of fake positive ones. Now, reached out to Google, they say they're all over this story. This has been going on for a while, and they're doing the best to stop those people who are doing bad things to businesses, not just here in New York, but across the country. Road congestion, severe weather conditions, going to make travel tough for people heading out for the holiday. Here in the city, it's going to be snow today. Other places, it's showers and snow showers. Correspondent Aaron Gilchrist says people are traveling in record numbers, and highways are already crowded.
Here in the Atlanta region, AAA thinks the most congestion will happen this afternoon. Same goes for New York City. It's not just here on the East Coast either. Out west, California inundated with some flooding, water rescues. That has complicated travel.
Gilchrist says he has a tip for travelers that comes from the TSA.
If you can spread it, spray it, spill it, pour it, or pump it, you want to put it in your checked baggage if it's more than 3.4 ounces, so you don't have to toss out those presents at the TSA checkpoint.
Yes, so far, it's not like Thanksgiving where there's one specific day, but apparently today is one of the bigger travel days for the Christmas season. I imagine it's the weekend after New Year's coming back home that things will be congested again as well.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, December 23rd. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Snow showers this morning. A mix of snow and rain this afternoon. We may get an inch here in the city surrounding suburbs. If you're in northwestern New Jersey, Hudson Valley, you may see a couple inches of snow before this storm moves out this afternoon. And then tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 36. Wednesday, we'll see the sun again, high 44. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 33 cloudy in Pomona up in Rockland County. It's 35 and cloudy in Long Branch over in New Jersey. And it's 33 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. A new website going to be unveiled from City Hall, the health department today, where you'll be able to compare prices for local health services. The new website allows people to search for common procedures with or without insurance, so you can see the total price at specific hospitals and facilities, and then you can estimate what your out-of-pocket costs will be. This website going live today. Here's the health commissioner, Dr. Michelle Morse.
New Yorkers tell us all the time that their health insurance and navigating health care in New York City is confusing, it's overwhelming, it's difficult, it's costly, and they don't know how much it's going to cost.
Well, that's always the issue. Health care spending here in the city has doubled the past 10 years, driven by hospital costs. In 2023, 1 million New Yorkers had medical debt of about $500 or more.
I think that would be helpful, for New Yorkers, because, sometimes we go into medical offices not knowing how much we have to pay for these things, but yet we have to get it done, and that just is a trickle effect when it comes to finances.
Yeah, so that's why this website could potentially be very helpful. It'll give accountability to both sides. You'll know what the price is before you go in.
We wanted it to be as easy to navigate as possible, and this is a very complex space, and so trying to make it as simple and easy to navigate did take some time.
The Department of Health is asking New York Yorkers to help make the tool a success, providing feedback on the website. Again, it's going live today.
Wages are not high enough for us to deal with medical concerns as well as like just cost of living.
Yeah, and so that's why this website could potentially be helpful. So it's at nyc.gov. I mean, it's this long website address, but if you go to nyc.gov and you look for price comparison, you'll hit this new website that will give you details of what procedures cost before you have them, if you have insurance or if you don't. So that could be very effective, very helpful for a lot of New Yorkers. 5:42, Mayor-elect Mamdani will be sworn in January 1 during a two-part inauguration that includes a midnight ceremony and block party outside City Hall. New York Attorney General Letitia James will administer the oath of office at midnight. He'll be joined by the Mamdani family. And then later in the day on Friday, January 1st is Thursday? On Thursday, Senator Bernie Sanders will give the oath again during a public ceremony that'll be on the steps of City Hall. The event will be followed by a citywide inaugural block party, which organizers say will be open to all New Yorkers. Mamdani says the celebration is designed to ensure that all New Yorkers are able to take part in ushering what he calls a new era for New York City. Now, traditionally, they give out a few couple thousand tickets, but they expect maybe like 50,000 people to show up for this inauguration on New Year's Day. And as for Mamdani's transition into office, the mayor-elect says his transition advisory committee is as diverse as New York City is, with a variety of opinions. But the ADL says that's not true. Last night, the Anti-Defamation League said that 20% of this advisory's committee should raise flags. They say the sheer number of individuals with a history of concerning behavior, either anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, and anti-Semitic, has them very concerned. So Mamdani did push back against this yesterday. He suggested that the ADL's focus is too broad. Here he was talking about this ADL report yesterday.
We must distinguish between anti-Semitism and criticism of the Israeli government. The ADL's report oftentimes ignores this distinction, and in doing so, it draws attention away from the very real crisis of anti-Semitism we see not only just in our city, but in the country at large.
Now, the ADL says that's just not the whole story. They insist it's not that simple. They say some of this rhetoric from people who are on this advisory committee is downright anti-Semitic.
If it's anti-Semitic in his view, he will most certainly condemn it. And we appreciate that. It's just that his view of what's anti-Semitism is less expansive than what the mainstream Jewish community's view is of what is anti-Semitism.
Now, yesterday, Mamdani did get cover from somebody he appointed as commissioner of the city's Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. His name is Sam Levine, and you may know from the name that he is Jewish. Levine defending his new boss, saying he's no anti-Semite.
I was on the transition committee. I'm also a Jewish New Yorker. I have every confidence that the mayor-elect will be a mayor for all New Yorkers. If I had any doubt whatsoever, I would not be standing here today.
All right, 5:44. Police searching for two men accused of stabbing a 39-year-old during a robbery inside a residential lobby in Bedford Park up in the Bronx. This actually happened last week, but they're now just releasing the video. It's hard to watch. I mean, they beat this guy, stab him in the neck and torso during some sort of verbal dispute. Then they grab about $600 from him and a cell phone before they walked out onto the Grand Concourse and got away. Here's a neighbor who says this stuff happens too often in their building.
Everything happens in this building a lot. People even fear to even speak up and everything because you never know. One day you could be here and then the next day you could be at court.
Yeah, she says sometimes people are just afraid to speak out even if they recognize the people who are behind these crimes. Thankfully, that individual is going to be okay. The video's out. We'll put it up at WABCRadio.com in hopes of finding these two dopes who are behind that vicious mugging that took place in the Bronx last week. 5:45 now. It's sports. sports time. Justin Ellick's got the day off, but Gabriel Jake is here with the sports.
The 49ers spoiled the Phillip Rivers homecoming party, handing the Colts and their recently unretired quarterback a tough 48-27 loss on last night's edition of Monday Night Football. The loss all but takes them out of playoff contention. It was a quiet night in New York sports as none of the NHL or NBA teams took the floor on Monday. The Knicks, Nets, Devils, Islanders, and Rangers all in action tonight, though. Some big news out of the NFL as the Kansas City Chiefs announced on Monday that they will be building a new domed stadium. It's only going to be a 30 or so minute drive from Arrowhead when it opens in 2031, but it will be located across state borders in Wyandotte County, Kansas. It's a big college hoops night in Newark. The 11-1 Seton Hall Pirates play host to Villanova at The Rock. A win against the Wildcats and Shaheen Holloway's Pirates could be looking at a spot in the nation's top 25. Seton Hall, a 2.5-point favorite in this matchup. Giants fans, just in case you still haven't had enough bad football to watch this year, this weekend's matchup against the Raiders has big implications, just not until late April. The NFL's two worst teams, both sitting at 2-13 on the year, will battle it out this Sunday, the loser likely picking first in next year's draft.
That's WABC's Gabriel Jake. WABC News Time 548. Let's go out to Queens, where the family of a man killed in a police shooting in Far Rockaway over the weekend disputing the police account of what happened. The father of 29-year-old Ches Frey called 911 on Sunday, asking officers to come to speak to his son, who he says was acting erratically after smoking marijuana. Police say an officer opened fire after Frey got into a physical altercation with his dad while holding a box cutter and then charged at officers. Now, Frey's dad says he was hugging his son and there was no altercation at all. He has hired a lawyer. They held a press conference yesterday saying that the police account is not accurate.
The father moves out the way. Immediately when he moves out the way, one officer fires a taser at him and immediately shoot him.
I beg her, please don't kill my only child.
Yeah, that's the mother there at the end of the press conference yesterday. And the thought is, obviously, there's police body cam of this, so at some point we'll be able to see that. No doubt the NYPD has already seen it. The family's calling on the state attorney general to investigate and for the body cam video to be released. The NYPD says it is conducting an internal review. Out on Long Island, Suffolk County, police searching for 3 thieves, or maybe more, who stole hundreds of toys meant to be holiday gifts for children across Suffolk County. The toys that weren't stolen were damaged. It's this organization that's called Toys for Tots. It's a fully volunteer organization, and they're asking for help so they can continue to carry out their important mission. So there were pallets of toys that were worth about $50,000 that were out over the weekend that were going to be handed out to kids. This was in Huntington. Somebody came in, ransacked some of them. I don't know why. Just seemed to destroy some of the toys and then stole a lot of the toys. Here's Melissa Dukowski, who is one of the leaders of this organization called Toys for Tots.
It looked like everything was ransacked, vandalized, destroyed. I immediately could see that hundreds of toys were gone. They destroyed us.
Okay, I called it Toys for Tots. The organization is actually called Toys of Hope. It's a non-profit organization that collects donations for homeless and needy children in New York and out on Long Island. These 600 toys were waiting to be picked up on Sunday when they realized that this had happened. They showed up with vans and cars. People were going to drop off the toys at kids' homes. And the toys were based on personalized wish lists that were created by each child with their caseworker. So that makes it even more heart-wrenching because it would be hard to put these lists back together and find these toys.
These kids now, that these special items, it was such a special thing that they were able to pick out what they wanted. And now Christmas was stolen from them. So we don't just give random toys. We make it a very personalized experience. And these items were things that the kids really expected that they were getting from Santa. I mean, they believe in the magic of the holiday.
Yeah, what kind of jerks out there doing this? While the thieves stole hope, they could not rob Long Island of the Christmas spirit all day yesterday. There was a steady stream of Long Islanders who were dropping off toys, hoping that they could replace what was lost.
This is the way people are today.
It's sad. Yeah. It's 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah, the nonprofit actually even said, reaching out or speaking out to the people who stole these toys, they said, hey, if you return these before Christmas, they will forgive you and they won't report you to the cops. So far, that has not happened. There is a Christmas tree seller on the Upper West Side who is a big fan of the 77 WABC NewsHour. He's not from here. He's from Wisconsin. I think that's where he told me he's from. He's from Wisconsin, and he comes here every year. He sets up a little trailer on the Upper West Side. He lives in the trailer, and he sells Christmas trees, and he goes back home to Wisconsin. So he's been communicating, and he's probably listening right now, that he listens every single morning because he's up early. And he wanted me to tell you that now's the time to get a great deal on a Christmas tree. You don't just have to go to him, because I imagine this is true with all those Christmas tree sellers all over the city. He says a $400 9-foot tree that he was selling up until now, it's half price because it's the end of the season. He wants to get rid of the trees on his lot. And again, I assume this is probably true no matter where you go across the city. So if you haven't bought your Christmas tree yet and you're looking for a live, fresh one, now apparently on December 23rd at 5:53 in the morning is the time to get a great deal. Head over to, he didn't even tell me specifically where it was, but he did tell me the sellers across the city kind of all know each other. And today's the day that things go to half price. So if that tree was too expensive at $400, maybe it's better at $200 and you'll have a fresh tree in your house in time for Christmas. Lawyer George Conway, you recognize that name probably, running or is going to run for a vacant New York House seat next year.
Conway, a former conservative lawyer turned ardent critic of President Trump, filed paperwork to run for Congress in New York City as a Democrat, but he has not formally launched a congressional bid or commented on it publicly. He is also the former husband of Kellyanne Conway. She was a longtime senior advisor to President Trump. A source close to George Conway told NBC he will have more to say in the new year after the holidays. Conway plans to run in the crowded primary for the 12th Congressional District, which is currently represented by Congressman Jerry Nadler, who is not seeking re-election. Liz Warner, NBC News Radio, New York.
One of the big races, of course, next year will be for governor here in New York. Governor Hochul running again. So far, no big-name Democrats are challenging her. On the Republican side, it was Elise Stefanik against Bruce Blakeman until Elise Stefanik, the congresswoman from upstate, dropped out of the race very suddenly on Friday. Bruce Blakeman, who's the Nassau County executive, he showed up on Sid and Friends in the morning yesterday to say that Stefanik left the race for all the right reasons.
You know, this is a very grueling business, Sid, and it's tough on families, and she's got a young child, and I think she felt that, you know what, I'm a young person, I want to spend some time with my family. She can always jump back in the arena. She's very bright, very articulate. She was a great member of Congress, and I think there's a bright future for Elise, but she's taking a pause to be with her family, and I think we should all respect that.
Now, the 41-year-old Stefanik says she won't seek re-election next year. Her current term, that ends in January of 2027. There's new laws in New York to regulate a dangerous herbal product known as kratom. Governor Hochul signing legislation yesterday that bans the sale of kratom products to anyone under 21, requires a consumer warning label saying the product may be addictive and have side effects.
There may be some health benefits. We're not talking about an outright ban, but if a product carries real risk, don't you think people should know about it?
Hochul says kratom is a commercial substance that's commonly labeled as an all-natural herb, leading people to believe it's completely safe. Kratom is not approved by the FDA. Hochul says there's been 100 kratom-related overdoses in New York State just over the last year.
The fact that teens and young adults are often mistaken in the use, and that one-fifth of teenagers end up needing some type of medical attention, that's just a stunning number.
Yes, and now they'll regulate the product and who can get access to it. And we'll end with this one. A giant Christmas decoration meant to spread holiday cheer caused major headaches in Connecticut. There were some strong winds that got hold of this oversized ornament in Stamford, and it rolled down to the street. Now, this thing was huge. It crashed into a couple of cars in Stamford. The owner of one of those cars saw this giant ornament ornament, and I think like metal. You could sit inside it. It was one of these things that, decorative on the streets of Stanford that people take pictures in front of, and all of a sudden it broke loose, and it was like, out of a movie.
I suddenly saw like this gigantic ornament get loose, and I was like, that giant ornament's about to hit my car. It looks like a lot lighter than it is, I thought. I was like, no, that guy's heavy. That's Alex Albamonte, who was talking to Channel 7. She says the ornament smashed into her car did actually a fair amount of damage. It was scratchy and loud, and then done. My friend got out and he walked around and he was like, oh boy. And I was like, what? Now, she does say the person who put those ornaments up has agreed to help pay for the damages and give her a rental car in the meantime.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. Arrive.